Alrighty, don't mind the lawnmower, but we've got cotton flowers now. It is now the 1st of July, so I came out here. We're supposed to get a frog strangler of a rainstorm tonight, so I wanted to get out here and check these things before it got too unbearably hot and humid out, because I'm not going to be able to check them tonight. And good thing I did, because we've got our first cotton flowers of the season. Look at the things. There's at least 2 I saw. 3. There's the second. There's the third. So their timing is good. The plants that have done well are all starting to put out flowers pretty much at the same time. And so these flowers only last a day. So that means they all came out. First flowers today. I don't see any pink ones. All right, so in total we have 4 plants that are flowering. 3 on row 3 and 1 on row 2. So we've got this one on row 2 with 1 flower. And then over here on row 3, we've got this one with flower, as well as this one with a flower, just not quite open. And then additionally, we actually have 1 pink flower. So this is at least a day, if not 2 days old actually here, probably just a day, but that puts our first flower time at June 30th. So anytime I can get a flower in June is a good time. There he is, the little bugger who's eating all my cotton. On a quick aside, here are my potted cottons, and man, just look at that growth rate. Look at them spaces between nodes. That is wild. Anyway, I'm gonna thin these suckers out real quick while I'm here, and just look. No roots on these things. That's what good soils will do to these cotton plants. All right, well, it's a week later, week and a couple days, and I swear these things have grown a foot. Like, that's up to my hip now. This thing's almost 3 foot tall. This one's definitely 3 foot tall, which I feel like they weren't this tall last week. You know, yeah, it's pretty much right at 3 foot right there. So well, anyway, it looks like we got a lot more flowers. I see a candle poking out right there. We have flowers on this one again. Got a flower right there. So I want to run through and tally everything up again, do a final survival count, and just see how much flower coverage we have now. All right, so just went through, thinned everything, counted flowers, counted germination for everything that we replanted, and it looks like got about 21% flowering rate. So we have 5 plants flowering in the center 3 rows and 3 plants flowering on each of the outer rows. So it's about a 25% flowering rate in the middle 3 rows, and whatever that is, 15% on the outside. So not great for the second week of July, but not bad either. We have a lot of stuff, of course, that's well behind. We also only had only one dead space. This one right here, 1, 2, which I think a cutworm got, because all of these stems are just ate off. So, you know, it's 3 of them. Yeah, so pretty certain a cutworm just got in there and nipped him off right after the cots popped. Anyway, so that's discouraging, but, you know, we have a lot that's like this, that's, you know, in a rough way because it's getting all the life sucked out of it, like crabgrass. But we have a fair shake, like that one over there, those over there, and everything that look really good for July. So, you know, like I said, we're up to 3 foot, so that's really quick. So it's good to see that there's still that much vigor left in these 2019 plants, that, you know, as long as they're able to germinate and get up out the ground, they seem to be healthy otherwise. Additionally, one thing that's really surprising is my perennial plant. This fella down here, I believe. Yeah, I've thinned back to just him. I had one other plant in there that was doing okay, but I mean, look at this perennial. This is better than any of the perennial plants did in 2020 when I let them regenerate from 2019. So this is just one root nub. So that might be the thing. You may have to kill the crown. You may have to like divide these things as like a root to get them to grow as a perennial. Because in 2019, they froze back all the way to the ground. And I think what happened is there was no terminal leader, because you had all of these roots all competing to be the terminal branch. And so they were putting buds out from each different leg of the plant, I guess, each root, runner. And so they were all vying to be the terminal bud, which just caused all of them to hormonally suppress each other. And they ended up, growing as a bush. And also it took them forever to germinate. So I guess this trauma and additionally pruning it back to just one limb turns the plant into a linear system. And so there's only one place for a bud to emerge and only one terminal bud to lead the plant. And that's allowing it to grow as a perennial. So that's really interesting. So I might have to try that in later years instead of using seeds. If I get a really good plant I like this guy, like some of these guys are really good. Like that has 9 flowers, that has 10, and I think that one also has 10 flowers on it. And that's including bowls, flowers, and candles. And when I'm counting a candle, I'm referring to something like this, where it's starting to poke up through the top of the square. So yeah, really, really surprising there. So it seems to be a factor of what's left in the ground determines how these things act as a perennial. So I might have to experiment with that in the future. Just like pull a stump out the ground and just hack all the roots off and then stick them back in the ground and just see what happens. Or, stuff them down into the actual soil come like April or May or something and just leave the top poking out to get hit by sun. Because it worked on this one. And if it worked once, then it's probably going to work again, whether or not it's, a minority or potentially a trend. I don't know. We shall see. But we got flowers, and the plants look really good, at least the ones that, from the original sowing. So it's really good to see. So we are now officially in the flowering stage. So I think I'm going to call this update here. If you like what I'm doing here, if you like the project, consider giving the video a like, comment. Tell me your thoughts about perennial plants. I really think there's something there, but we just don't quite have the subtropical climate we need to avoid the hard freeze here. So I always keep thinking about some way that I can minimize my work and maybe have these grown as a perennial. And additionally, I just want to see what happens if, you have these plants growing, kind of like how a coral bean does, where it dies back to the roots and comes back up. Whether or not they're going to change genotypically, since this is a cultivar, like how a Chinese holly does. Where their wild type starts to show up after a couple of decades. But anyway, I digress. If you want to see the rest of the series, you got to subscribe. So press that big gray button down there. And until next time, I'm out.